Welcome to the OK Academy e-learning program. My name is Otin Joseph. I'm your facilitator for Grade 4 Mathematics. Today we are going to have a lesson on Grade 4 Mathematics on the topic rounding decimal fractions. But before I start, I want to do a short review. We have already done decimals and fractions in school. We have also done rounding of numbers to the nearest tens, the nearest hundreds, the nearest thousands, the nearest 10,000s, and so on and so forth. So I want us to look at this thing I have here on the board just for a short review before I start the actual lessons. I have, if you look at the board, I have 10,000, thousands, hundreds, tens, and ones. And I have placed some numbers over there. You can see under each place value. These things I have here, these headings I have here are called place values. And under each place value, there is a number. You can see. And we learned that we are going to mention these numbers put together, these digits put together as one number according to their place values. So you can see that 5 has been placed at the ones position. 6 is placed at the tens position. 2 at the hundreds, 3 at the thousands, and 4 at 10,000. So because 4 is placed under 10,000 heading, it is going to be called 40,000. 40,000. Because 3 is placed under thousands, it is going to be called 3,000s. I have 2 under 100, so it's going to be 200. I have 6 under 10, so it is going to be 60. And I have 5 under 1s, so what is still 5? So putting all these together, trying to recall the place value of each number or each digit, I'm going to have the number 43,265. 43,265. You can see that when I mentioned the number 43,265, I didn't miss the place value of any of the digits. All right, this is not what we are going to learn for today. It's just a short review for what we are going to learn today. We are going to round decimal fractions. So let's look at what decimal fractions really are. Do you remember back in school when you were encountering some numbers in the form you were not taught only the whole numbers. You were also taught numbers containing some points at somewhere. The point can begin, the number can be somewhere in the middle or anywhere. Following 2, 3, 4, can follow any number of digits in the particular number. When you have numbers in that form, such numbers are called decimal numbers or decimal fractions. So the number 0.4 here is a decimal fraction because of the points. The number 23.16 here is a decimal fraction because of the points. And the number 666.01 is a fraction called a decimal fraction because of the point. We can round these numbers to the nearest tens, hundreds, thousands as we have done before. But that is not our interest now. We are going to take a different format. Now we are not interested in the numbers that are coming in front of the points. You can see the numbers coming in front of the points are the whole numbers we already have. I'm not interested in this lesson. I'm not interested in the whole numbers in front of the point. But we are rather interested in the numbers after the point. The numbers after the point are called decimal points or decimal places. So according to the number of digits after the point, that is what is going to tell us the number of decimal places we have in that particular number. So if I take the number 0.4, I have only one digit after the decimal point. So this number 0.4 has only one decimal place or only one decimal point. If I take the number 23.16, I have the numbers 16 after the point. So it has 2 decimal places or 2 decimal points. Now if I take the number 666.01, it's also having 2 digits after the point. So therefore, it has 2 decimal places, which are 0 and 1. You can say decimal places or decimal point, either of which is accepted. Now, how do we read decimal digits or decimal points? We do not read decimal points just as the numbers in front of the points. The way you read the numbers after the point is different from the way you are going to read the numbers in front of the point. The digits in front of the point are mentioned or read as they are, according to the place value rule. But the digits after the decimal point or the decimal places are mentioned individually. If we take this one, we don't have any problem because you have 0.4. So you have 4 after the point. Now, let's come to the number 23.16. Why didn't I say 23.16? Why didn't I say 23.16 but saying 23.16? Because according to the place value laws, any number or digit after a decimal point is mentioned individually. So this is going to be 16 because of the point. 16 because of the point. So it is going to be 23.16 as I've already said. It is so wrong to say 23.16. If you say it anywhere, you might be mocked at because that is not the accepted way of reading the number. It is 23.16, but this is 23 because it is in front of the decimal point. Now, if I take this number, it is 666.01. That one is understandable because you cannot say anything apart from 01. But let's see this number. So let's look at this example here. I am going to read the number in front of the point as normal as it is. But the number after the decimal point, I'm going to read them as I taught, according to the place value rule. So this is in the thousands place, hundreds place, tens and ones place. So I'll read this number as 2,612. 2,612. But I cannot read the numbers after the point just as I read those in front of the point because I've already told you, if you read this one as 635, you are going to be mocked at. The numbers after the point are to be read individually as they are. So I'm going to read it as 635. So this number is 2,612.635. So this is just a short review on what we did in class. All right. Now let's take the same number. We know the place value for the number in front of the decimal digit. We know the place value of each digit in the number 2,612. We know that this digit is in the ones position. This digit is in the hundreds. Okay, this digit is in the tens. And the first one is in the thousands. We have already treated this one in class, and so we don't need to do anything much about it. Now we are interested in this one, the decimal places. We are going to give place values to these digits. But look at it very carefully so as to be able to differentiate between the place values for the decimal places and the place values for the normal numbers in front of the decimal point. To assign place values to the decimal digits, we start from 10th. Then it follows in that order. So from 10th, we come to 100th. Then the last one will be thousandth. You see the difference between the place values for this number and the place value for that number after the decimal point. This one starts from ones. Ones. Here we don't have anything corresponding to one. So we don't have one. So never start from one. Okay? We start from tenth. Here is tens. It ends with S. But here it ends with TH. So it is tenth, hundredth, thousandth, and so on. So if we were to have more digits here, then we'd be having 10,000th and so on. So that is how we assign place values to decimal places. And in this lesson, we are interested in the decimal places. We have done rounding to the nearest tens, to the nearest hundreds, to the nearest thousands. Now we are going to round to the nearest tenth, nearest hundredth, nearest thousandth, and so on. From what we have learned so far, we got to know some time ago that to round a number to the nearest tens, let's say the number 236, to run it or round it to the nearest tens, you look at the number occupying the tens position. So when we take the number 236, we have the number 3 occupying the tens position. So we have 30 being at the tens position. We are to round it to the nearest tens. We can round it up or down based on the number we have after the number we are interested, or after the place value we are interested. We are interested in the tens place value, or the tens position, which is occupied by the 3. So the number after it will be the one occupying the ones position, and that is the number 6. To round this number to the nearest tens, you look at the number after it. So that is the 6. You look at the magnitude or the size of that number. So the number 6 here is more than 4. So you look at the number to see whether it is more than 4 or 4 or less. If the number is 4 or less, you will take this number out, the number after the one you are interested in. If it is less than 4 or 4, you will take it off and replace it with 0. This is what I mean. Supposing we were to have 233, and we are to round this number to the nearest tens. We are to round this number to the nearest tens. Then what we would have to do is to underline the number occupying the tens position. So this is the number occupying the tens position. Then you look at the number just after it. The number just after it. The number just after 3 is 3. It is in the ones position. What are we going to do now? We are going to see if we have to take the 3 away and replace it with 0, or we have to do something else. So if the number after the one you are interested in is less than 4 or 4, you will take it away and replace it with 0. In that sense, we say you have rounded down. You have rounded down or off. But if the number after the position you are talking about is more than 4, then what you are going to do is add 1 to the number at the tens position. You add 1 to the number at the tens position and replace the number at the ones position with 0. That is what we do. So now, because the 3 is less than 4, we are going to just take it away and replace it with 0. So rounding the number 233 to the nearest tens is going to result in the number 230. So this is the answer now. We have 230 as the number we are looking for because the 3, which is occupying the ones position, is less than 4. So we cannot do anything to it. The only thing we can do is to take it away and replace it with 0. Now let's come here. The number 236. If we take the number 236, we are interested in the 3 because we are rounding it to the nearest tens. So we are interested in the 3, but we come to the number just after it. The key word is just after it. The number just after it is 6, and it is occupying the 1's position. You can see that the 6 is more than 4. So we apply the second rule I spoke about. The second rule is if the number is more than 4, you add 1 to the number of interest, and then you replace it with 0. You replace it with 0. So we have to take the 6 away and replace it with 0. But before we do that, we have to add 1 to the 3 because the 6 is more than 4. So I am going to get 240 as my result for this one. So you can see the difference. It's a simple rule. And this is a revision of what we have done already. Okay? This number is 236, and I have to round it to the nearest tens. First, I said you have to underline the number occupying the tens position, which is the 3. And after underlining it, you have to look at the number just after it. And we all can see that the number just after it is 6. 6 is more than 4. And according to the rule, if the number just after the number of interest is more than 4, you just have to pick 1 and add it to the number of interest. And then you replace the number just after it with 0. So I took 1 here, I added it to 3, I had 4. Then the next thing I have to do is to replace the 6 with 0. So I have 240. It's a very simple thing, and I believe you understand it, and you can do it all by yourself. Now, we are going to the actual thing to be done today. That is rounding to the nearest tenth. Let's take this example. This number is read 236.57, as we already know. We have to round this number to the nearest tenth. We are rounding to the nearest tenth. To the nearest tenth, not tens, tenth. And we know how to assign place values for decimal places. This is our 10th position. And this is going to be hundredth, and tenth. And the question tells us to round it to the nearest tenth. So the number of interest is the 5. The 5 after the decimal point. We are going to apply the same rules as we did for the previous one. We look at the number just after the number of interest. The number just after the 5 occupying the 10th position is 7. 7, right? 7. And 7 is more than 4. Because 7 is more than 4, all that we have to do is to take 1, add it to the 5, and then replace the 7 with 0 because it is more than 4. So then the results I'm going to get after rounding this whole number to the nearest tenth is now we have 236.60. 236.60. That is how it is done. The same rules apply. I believe you have it just at your fingertips. You look at the number, check the position of interest. The position of interest. After checking the position of interest, then you look at the number just after it. The number just after it. So which number is just after the 5 or the 10th position you are talking about? It's 7. The next thing to think about is the number just after the one of interest more than 4? If it is more than 4, the rule says add 1 to the number of interest and take the one just after it away and replace it with 0. So that is what I just did. 5 is the number of interest because it is the one occupying the 10th position. It is the one occupying the 10th position. Then I look at the number just after the 5, and that is the 7 over here. 7 is just after the 5. But 7 is greater than 4. So because 7 is greater than 4, what I have to do next is to add 1 to the 5, so I get 6. After adding 1 to the 5 and getting 6, then I'll just take the 7 away and replace it with 0. So my final answer becomes 236.60, as I have here. Let's take another example. We are still rounding decimal fractions to the nearest tenth. So you look at the number given to you in question and locate your 10th position. So this is my 10th position. I underline it. After underlining the number of interest, which is the one occupying the 10th position, the next thing to do is look at the number just after it. So the number just after the 1 here is 5. Now we have 5. What do? The next thing to do here is to check out whether the number just after it is more than 4. So is 5 more than 4? Yes. 5 is more than 4, as we all know. So since 5 is more than 4, what we do next is to take 1, add it to the 1 occupying the 10th position, and replace the 5 with 0. There you go. You have your answer. So what I do now here is I take 1 from here, I add it to this, so I get 2. Then I replace the 5 with 0. So the result becomes 627.20. 627.20 becomes my final answer. So now, let's take another example and see how we go about it. This is the number I have here now. I have 2,300.1021. I've already told you, you read the number in front of the decimal point as normal as it is. But the one after the decimal point, you read each one as individual digits. So I have 2,300.1021. The question says I should round this number to the nearest tenth. So the first step to take is to locate the number occupying the 10th position. The number occupying our 10th position here is this one. This one here. This number is the one occupying the 10th position. After locating your number occupying the 10th position or the one of interest, then you look at the number just after it. Okay? Here we have 3 numbers after the 1. But we have 0, which is just after the 1. So we are just interested in the 0. Any number here, we don't care about whatever it is, whether it is more than 4 or less than 4, we don't care. We only care about the number just after the one occupying the 10th position. And we can see that it is 0, and 0 is 0. It's less than 4, we know, and it virtually represents nothing. So all that we can do is to keep the 0 there, take all these numbers away, and replace them with 0. Okay, any number after the 1 to be touched or to be dealt with must turn to 0, must return to 0. So my answer for this one is going to be 2300.1000. Yes, 2300.1000. Let me tell you something. Don't say that these zeros do not matter, so you will not bring them. This one is not the same as this number is not the same as this. Remember, the zeros here are very important because they are replacing some numbers that are significant or important. This 0 is replacing the 2, and this 0 is replacing the 1, which are non-zero numbers. Therefore, provided there is no number there, then there is no need to write a 0 there. If there is no number there and you write 0 there, then you are going to get it wrong. But if there is a number there, you have to write 0 there. Don't leave the place blank like this. This one is wrong. This is the right answer because this is the original question that was given to you. Okay? Now, let's take another example. Let's do more examples. Now we have 4,421.342. 4,421.342. That is the number we have here. We have to round this number to the nearest tenth. What have I told you so far? I have said when you have the question like this, the first thing to do is to locate the place value of interest. So we are interested in the 10th position. So let's underline our 10th position. That is the 3. The 3 is the one occupying the 10th position. The next thing to do is to locate the number just after the 1 of interest. That is the number just after the 1 occupying the 10th position. And that is the 4. So it means 2 automatically will go to 0. But what are we going to do with the 4? The 4 will also go to 0. But we are going to add 1 to the 3 if the number here is more than 4. And we are not going to do anything to this number by just turning this one to 0 if the number here is 4 or less. So the number just after the 3, which is the one of interest, is 4. And so according to the rule, we cannot do anything to the 3. We cannot add 1. We just need to turn this to 0 or replace them to 0. So our final answer becomes 4,421.300. Again, it is wrong to write 4,421.3 without the 2 zeros because the zeros there are significant. They are replacing some non-zero numbers. So this number is not the same as this one. Okay, and according to the question, the answer must be this, not that. This is wrong. So if you write this, you'll be marked down. This is the right answer. Because the zeros here are significant. They are replacing non-zero digits. The next thing we are going to do is I'm going to put down some examples here, 5 examples. And I'm giving you 30 seconds to try produce your answers on your own. Do it quick before I solve them with you. Try to check your own effort, your own accuracy, and your understanding on the topic that we are treating for today. So I'm giving you 30 seconds. Try them on your own before I solve them with you. Try these questions or numbers. Try rounding them to the nearest tenth. Okay, students, time up. Let's see what you got. You are going to mark yourself. You are going to mark yourself. As we all solve together, you mark yourself whether you had them right or wrong. It doesn't matter when you get them wrong. You still need to get the understanding, okay? So don't be bothered when you get them wrong. As we solve them, you'll be getting the understanding. So let's see what we got for them. The first number is 5.230. We had to round to the nearest tenth. So what you had to do in the first place was to underline the 2, which is occupying the 10th position. Then you locate the number just after the 2, which is 3. Ask yourself, is 3 up to 4 or less or more? 3 is less than 4. If the number is less than 4, you don't do anything to the 2. You just take it away and replace it and any number after it with 0. So your final answer is supposed to be 5.200. So if you had this, you are right. Clap for yourself. Let's move on to the next one, which is 241.003. Let's identify the number occupying the 10th position. There we go, a 0. Then we identify the number just after the 0. That one too is 0. Possibly we cannot do anything to any of them. We just need to turn all the numbers to 0. So at the end we have 241.000. 241.000. If you had it, you are right. Just mark yourself. Correct. Let's move on to the next one. We have 54.99. What do we need to do? Locate the number at the 10th position, which is 9. Then we need to locate the number that is just after the one of interest, which is also 9. 9 is more than 4, so what we have to do is to add 1 to the one occupying the 10th position. If we add 1 to the one occupying the 10th position, it becomes 10 here, isn't it? You cannot write the 10 here. So you have to send the 1 to the number just in front of the decimal point. Okay? You have to set the 1 just to the number in front of the decimal point. That is to the 4. Then you turn everything here to 0. And that gives us 55.00. Take note, it's not. You see, 54.10 is so smaller than the 54.99 that was given to you already. So that is why when you add it to this and you are getting 10, then it means you have to keep on sending the 1 forward. So if we keep on sending it forward, we meet a number here, which when we add, we will not get 10. So we end there, and that will give us 55. So 55.00 will be the answer, not this one. So if you had this correct, you can applaud yourself later. Now we have the next one, which is 27.89. 27.89. We need to round this number to the nearest tenth. What we need to do is to locate the number at the 10th position. That is 8. Then we look at the number just after the one we have located. And that number is 9. 9 is more than 4. So what do? We just add 1 to the 8, then we change the 9 to 0. And that gives us 27.90. If you had this, Applaud yourself. You're right. You can mark yourself up. Now let's look at the last example. $666.67. 666.67. This is our last example. And according to the normal routine, we have to underline or locate the one occupying the 10th position. The 10th position. And that is this 6 here. That is the first step. Always try to underline or locate the kind of position you are interested in. And that is the 10th position. So you underline the number first. Then after that, the next step to take is look at the number just after the position you have underlined. And that is 7. 7, is it more or less or equal to 4? It's more than 4, right? So what you need to do next is to add 1 to the one you have underlined, change it to 0. And there you go. And that gives us 666.70. 666.70. If you have this, mark yourself. What did you get? 5 over 5? 1 over 5? Any number you got, you are right, okay? With time, you understand what we are doing. So what have we learned today? We started with a review of decimal numbers, place values, and how to mention numbers, ordinary numbers, and numbers after decimal point, okay? We have gotten to know that the number 241.003 is the correct name. And the number 54.99 is the correct name, but not 54.99. We have also reviewed on what we learned on rounding numbers to the nearest tens, hundreds, and thousands. And now we have done rounding to the nearest tenth. On our next lesson, we are going to learn rounding decimal numbers to the nearest hundreds and thousands. I want you to subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't done that already, so that you will not miss any of our video lessons. My name is Uncle Otin once again. You know we are not in proper times. We are not in normal times. So I will urge you to obey all the social distancing protocols. Make sure you always have your masks on when you are out of your home. Stay safe. If you have nothing to do, stay at home. Just subscribe, be watching all the lessons, and take all assignments that have been given unto you. Thank you, and see you next time. Bye-bye.